Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Sinead Aherne. Today's top stories. The number of coronavirus cases at University Hospital Waterford remains stable. A Waterford farmer is calling for all workers in meat factories to be tested for COVID-19. There's fears the proposed runway extension at Waterford Airport will not go ahead at the moment. While in sport, Niall Quinn says football coming back will be better for everyone's mental well-being. The number of confirmed cases of COVID-19 at University Hospital Waterford remains unchanged. There was just one confirmed case on site last night. However, the HSE's daily operations update shows that there were 14 patients at UHW who were awaiting the results of testing last night. There were no confirmed or suspected cases in intensive care. The government is expected to give the go-ahead for the first stage of coronavirus restrictions being lifted. Cabinet ministers are meeting to discuss the medical advice from the National Public Health Emergency Team. Our political correspondent Sean Defoe reports.
Believe it or not, we're still in phase 0 of the government's exit plan. They want to start phase 1 on Monday, and all the signs are it will get the go-ahead. Cabinet ministers are considering medical advice, but there's been positive signs as the number of new cases, ICU admissions and deaths have been falling. Phase 1 would see builders and gardeners return to work. Some retail stores could reopen, including DIY and hardware shops, garden centres, homeware and repair stores. Small outdoor gatherings of up to 4 people will be allowed as long as social distancing is maintained. Some public sports areas like tennis courts and golf courses too. The government's been keen to stress this is not a big bang reopening of the economy and that strict social distancing will need to take place at all times. Minister Simon Harris has said the HSE will be able to carry out 100,000 tests a week from next week, but there's still a limit on the processing of those tests. They will be crucial to monitoring the impact easing restrictions has. An announcement is due on the first easing of restrictions late this afternoon, with advice on face coverings also expected.
All staff in meat factories should be tested for COVID-19 immediately, according to a leading farming organisation. It's after a number of staff in Rostera Meats plant in Eden Dairy in County Offaly tested positive for the virus this week. It's one of a number of clusters of the virus in meat factories across the country. Waterford native Edmund Phelan, president of the Irish Cattle and Sheep Farmers Association, wants all meat factory staff tested immediately.
There's a few hundred people now with it. They have to be taken off the production line because they're going to spread it to everybody else, so it would be very short-sighted not to, we say, have everybody tested and with a very quick turnaround, and people that are sick have to be kept out of the plant.
Private hospitals may pull out of the deal, which has seen the state take over their facilities if the HSE doesn't send more patients to them. The arrangement put in place to tackle the COVID-19 crisis is costing €115 million per month. However, according to the Irish Times, one private hospital accommodated no patients in April, while some consultants say occupancy levels are as low as 34%. UPMC Whitfield in Waterford had 55% occupancy last month. Fianna Fáil's health spokesperson Stephen Donnelly says patients will suffer.
Half the private doctors, private consultants haven't been able to sign up for various reasons. The occupancy rate on average in the 18 private hospitals is about 40%. The operating theatres are largely closed. And ultimately what's happening is patients with urgent needs are not being seen. They're getting sicker. In some cases, they may have some very, very profound issues.
A Waterford businessman says Waterford Airport's future is very bleak. Noel Frisbee, along with another stakeholder, were due to invest in the airport before the coronavirus hit. He told Damien Tiernan that any regional airport will not survive unless they're massively subsidised by government. He outlined what will happen in the short to medium term at Waterford Airport.
The SARS, as it's known, the Sea Area Rescue, will continue in Waterford Airport for the foreseeable future. We hope that contract will be renewed there when the time comes up. I think it's 2022. After that, it'll be a flying school or it'll be private airports will be going in and out.
Noel Frisbee says he would not be hopeful that the proposed runway extension will go ahead at the moment.
The runway extension at the airport and the other modifications that would be necessary will cost in excess and rising. The figure that was produced was 12 million, of which myself and my other co-investor was putting in a substantial amount of millions. The government was producing, as you know, the 5 million, and then the local authorities were putting up, Kilkenny, Waterford and Wexford were putting up a certain amount. And how that's going to pan out going forward is anybody's guess.
The City Square shopping centre in Waterford City should be considered a unique case and allowed to open sooner than the current restrictions allow. That's according to Fianna Fáil councillor Eddie Mulligan. Shopping centres are set to open in the last phase of the government's plan from August 10th. Eddie Mulligan says he's had representations from City Square shopping centre.
They believe they're a unique case and should be brought forward a phase. I think I have a tendency to agree with them because I've visited the shopping centre and I see that Dunn's being a food operator has been open through it, but they have a fantastic queuing scheme up and running. They're maintaining the social distance and they have staff in there. In relation to streetscape, City Square is a unique building. It has a streetscape running through to Peter Street. The roofing is glass and it's high. There's plenty of air movement, so it's unlike Liffey Valley or some of the other shopping centres which are very compact and have bigger footfall running through it.
He says City Square needs every assistance following the loss of Debenhams.
I have to give full credit to the management and staff of Debenhams. They were one of the 4 leaders in the whole click and collect, I suppose, means of doing business. They were very much evolving to the modern day way of shopping. And similarly to even if you look across John Roberts Square lifestyle, they've evolved. And some of the other shops around, and they were leading the way. So it's very sad to see Debenhams not survive the COVID-19. We all knew they had their challenges, but yet it's not fully over yet. There may be a lifeline there, and I am hoping that government and the landlords and the various creditors involved will reach out and there may be a lifeline.
Meanwhile, Debenhams workers picketed at 11 stores across the country, including Waterford earlier this afternoon, to protest the planned liquidation of the retailer's Irish arm. Trade union Mandate says over 1,000 people have lost their jobs and have been told Debenhams hasn't enough assets to fund an agreed redundancy deal. Debenhams worker Michelle Gavin says they want Waterford Council boss Michael Walsh to take action on retail in the city.
We just hope that he would, really push to try and have something in our city centre. So that's why we decided to come down here today to show him that we would hope that he could be on board and to try and save as many of our jobs as possible to have our city square, our city centre vibrant again.
The owners of the Granville Hotel say the COVID-19 pandemic is the worst thing that's happened in their 40 years of business. They opened their doors on the 17th of May in 1980. Liam Cusack says this is the first time they've ever had to close the hotel.
This is the worst thing of all, I think. And there's great uncertainty about it, so we don't know where we're going, really, It was made overnight. We were gone. And unfortunately, we were big into coach tours and all that. They're all virtually gone for this year as well, I think, now at this stage, It will impact on everything, and it will depend on people's attitude towards going out and venturing into public areas, so we just don't know.
People in Waterford are being encouraged to explore the biodiversity on their doorsteps. The Bealtaine Living Earth Biodiversity Festival kicks off tomorrow and runs until Sunday, May 24th. It's in its 16th year and is coordinated by CalMast Waterford Institute of Technology STEM Engagement Centre. Sheila Donegan from CalMast says there'll be lots of activities for children on their website, livingearth.ie.
There'll be activities for families to do at home. For example, making a bug hotel, making a butterfly feeder and learning how to make a bird feeder. There's also going to be lots of guides on showing people how to identify the birds and the butterflies and the flowers that they actually have in their own garden, so that people can go and explore the biodiversity in their neighbourhood.
WLR Sport, Ireland's local station of the year.
Starting with soccer, where Niall Quinn says football coming back will be better for everyone's mental well-being. A survey of League of Ireland players from the PFAI has shown that 87% of them favour a return to play once authorities here insist it's safe to do so. The Viva Stadium's ready to hold matches behind closed doors, with a potential mini-tournament involving Ireland's European representatives set for the end of July. Interim Deputy CEO of the FAI, Niall Quinn, spoke to OTBAM about the benefits of returning to action.
Clubs are worried, and scepticism has been replaced by, I need to see a little bit more now. They're happier that we have a process going on that is working, long hours to fulfil the criteria needed to get this going. But another reason for doing it as well, the other sports then will see us out there. If we get out in July the 20th appears to be the first date to come back at this time. If we can get out there and we're starting sport again, I think it's important for the country and almost in a mental well-being play.
Celtic could be crowned Scottish Premiership champions today. Premiership clubs are to hold a summit with SPFL chief Neil Doncaster, which could rubber stamp a 9th league title in a row for the Glasgow club. In rugby, Ireland's summer tour of Australia is officially off. Andy Farrell's men were due to play the Wallabies in Brisbane on July 4th and Sydney a week later. These matches, along with all of the other July international rugby test matches, have been postponed by World Rugby. And in horse racing, UK racing is set to return without crowds at Newcastle on June 1st, while the Derby and Oaks could both be held on the same day in early July after Epsom was granted council permission this week. As things stand, Irish racing isn't due back behind closed doors until June 29th. HRI hope to race sooner. WLR asking you to stay at home. Our next bulletin is at 2.